My ex told the judge I needed supervision to take my daughter to the science fair. She didn't expect the principal to remember what really happened. Have you ever had a court-appointed supervisor follow you through a middle school gym while your daughter carried a volcano project she'd worked on for 3 weeks? The supervisor arrived before we did, wearing a polo shirt with the county logo, a clipped-on badge, and carrying a yellow legal pad like she was auditing a crime scene instead of a 6th grade science fair. My daughter Emma had spent every evening turning papier mâché into a model volcano that actually erupted with baking soda and vinegar. The only thing she cared about was showing her experiment to the judges and maybe winning one of the little blue ribbons they handed out at the end. What she couldn't understand was why a stranger named Carla had to stand 3 feet away every time I adjusted the display board or handed her another packet of vinegar. 3 months earlier, my ex had told the judge I had anger management issues because I'd raised my voice during a disagreement about Emma's tutoring schedule, one loud argument in 11 years of parenting, and suddenly I needed supervision to attend a school event with my own child. Carla positioned herself near our table and wrote notes every few minutes. Every smile, every high five, every "you're doing great" kiddo apparently needed documentation. I could feel the other parents noticing, the woman with the clipboard watching the father with the volcano. A few people glanced at the badge, then at me, then back at the badge. One father moved his chair to the opposite side of the aisle. Another parent whispered something to her husband while looking directly at Carla's legal pad. A volunteer handing out judging forms crouched beside Emma and asked in that overly gentle voice adults use when they think something might be wrong. "Are you having a good day, sweetheart? Everything okay?" Emma looked confused and said, "Yeah, I'm about to make my volcano explode." When the judges reached our table, Emma launched into her presentation. She explained chemical reactions, pressure buildup, and why real volcanoes don't actually erupt with vinegar. Halfway through, I lifted my phone to record her because she was speaking with more confidence than I'd ever seen. Carla immediately stepped beside me and said, "For compliance purposes, I need to remain visible in any recordings." So the only video I have of my daughter presenting her science project includes a county supervisor standing in the corner of the frame with a legal pad. After the judges left, Emma tugged on my sleeve and whispered, "Dad, is that lady my teacher? She keeps writing things down about us?" I told her no, she's just making sure everyone follows the rules. Emma accepted that answer the way children accept most things they don't fully understand, and went back to arranging her display. The worst moment came during the eruption demonstration. Emma wanted me to help hold the tray steady while she poured in the vinegar. Carla stepped closer and announced she needed to observe the physical proximity during the interaction, and started recording on her phone. A mother nearby heard that sentence and pulled her son toward another exhibit. I stood there holding a plastic tray for my daughter's volcano, while a stranger filmed me for evidence. And I remember thinking that if someone had described this scene to me 5 years earlier, I never would have believed it. I was staring at the floor after the demonstration when the principal walked over. Gray hair, school lanyard, coffee cup in one hand. He looked at Carla, looked at me, then looked at Emma's volcano. "Mr. Carter," he said, "didn't you build the sets for the school musical last year?" I nodded. "And the year before that?" "You volunteered for the robotics competition, right?" Another nod. He took a sip of coffee and said, loud enough for the nearby parents to hear, "Funny thing about schools, we tend to remember the parents who show up." Then he turned to Emma and asked, "Young lady, are you going to make this volcano erupt again? Because I think the 7th graders missed it the first time." Emma beamed. The principal stayed for the second eruption. When the foam spilled over the sides, he clapped like she'd just won a national championship. A couple of the parents who'd been avoiding me started asking Emma questions about how she built it. One father even asked if she'd help his son with next year's project. On the way to the parking lot, an older dad carrying a solar system model slowed down beside me and said quietly, "Mine was supervised for 6 months. School events were the hardest part." He adjusted the model under his arm. "My daughter only remembers that I came, not the supervisor." Then he kept walking. 5 weeks later, the judge ended the supervision order. The accusations collapsed once school records, volunteer logs, and witness statements came in. Apparently, it's difficult to paint someone as dangerous when half the faculty can point to years of helping with school events. Emma doesn't remember Carla's badge. She doesn't remember the legal pad or the recording phone. She remembers that her volcano erupted twice, that the principal asked to see it again, and that she won a blue ribbon for creativity. A few days later, she drew a picture of the science fair for a homework assignment. The volcano is huge. The foam is bright orange. I'm standing next to her holding the tray. There's no county supervisor in the drawing. Would you have kept going to every school event even with a supervisor standing beside you? Yes or no?